Hello, financial fans. It is Tuesday, March 8th of 2022. And today, right at this moment, I'm looking at the screen here. My stocks, my portfolio is down about 1%. 0.95% is the reading at this moment. And the S&P 500 is down, but it's down only 0.72%, about 0.75%. Dow Jones Industrials down a little over 0.5%, 0.56%, and NASDAQ, which was up until a couple of minutes ago, NASDAQ is now down about 0.25%. So it's a down day on Wall Street, but not tremendously bad so far today. It's not been a good year. The year to date, my portfolio, and I have about 70 stocks, my portfolio is down 6%, approximately 6%. S&P 500 is down 9.5%. And uncertainty makes the market go down, and certainly we have uncertainty. The war still has potential to become very bad, and other things could happen. There could be an issue with China over Taiwan a month or two from now. It could happen, it might not. I haven't heard anything specific on it, but if something happens between the US and China with the subject of Taiwan, that also would drag the market down, and it possibly could do things that would be not helpful for my portfolio and other people's portfolios, those of us who have invested in companies that have Chinese ties, like NIO, N-I-O, electric car, which has had nothing but good news so far, but the stock keeps going down, and I think it's all related to politics, and eventually something is going to be decided. And I think NIO, N-I-O, and Lucid, LCID. LCID is a U.S. company that makes electric cars, and LCID had a bad year so far in 2022, and bad week last week, I guess it was. But for me, my holdings in LCID are up about 10% since I bought them. That's because I bought it when it was a much newer stock, and it was much lower in price when I got in. My point to all this is there are a lot of events, political and business-wise, that are going to be happening in 2022, including an election in the United States, which will affect U.S. stocks. I invest in stocks that are NYSE, New York Stock Exchange, and NASDAQ, NASDAQ. And the election, the outcome of the election will have either an up or down effect on the market, and that depends on who wins where and what the big issues are at that time, and we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But I'll talk about a couple other stocks here besides NIO and Lucid and PBR and PGR. I'll talk about CHY. CHY, that's an exchange traded fund, and I'll let you just decide if you want to look at it and see what's going on. That is my best performing stock percentage wise out of all my 70 some stocks, and they pay a high dividend, and the stock has been growing in value. So let's see CHY. And the other stock I'll talk about is just sort of a personal story. PARA. It used to be Viacom, V-I-A-C. That was the stock I bought. I bought Viacom, and Viacom was beaten way down. It was just a bargain, so I bought it. Then about a month after I bought it, they changed their name to Paramount. with the symbol PARA. So I own PARA, and Paramount is up 9% since I bought it. In my lifetime, I've worked a lot of different jobs, had a lot of different paychecks. Every week or so I'd get a paycheck from one company or sometimes two companies. I've had times in my life when I was working at a regular job, like a warehouse job, and working at radio stations on the weekend, getting paychecks from both. And I've received lots of paychecks over the years from lots of different companies. But the most amount of money that I've ever received in paycheck form, and the paychecks came along after I did the actual work. The best boss I ever had, the best company I ever worked for, was Paramount. I spent 4 years at Paramount working on Dear John, and the checks came in. Every time we did a show every week, I would get a check. It was on a weekly basis when I was working and actually there physically doing the shows. But I also started getting some residual checks when they would show one of the episodes for a second time, or a third time, or fourth time, or 10th time, or 11th time, whatever. And each time they show it, they would send a check. And there was a time when the show Dear John was being shown in syndication for 4 years. It was in syndication 6 days a week. It would show somewhere, and each time it showed, they would send me a check. So I can tell you that more than half of the income that I've received in my lifetime came from Paramount, and now I own PARA, Paramount stock. So I'm one of the owners of that company. The stock market goes up and goes down, and right now, while the market's down, if I were a financial advisor, which I'm not a financial advisor, and any money you invest in the stock market you can lose, but if I were a financial advisor, I would be advising you to buy stocks now, although I actually would advise you first take advantage of any low-cost real estate loans that you can get if you do not have real estate yet. If you don't own your own home, this is the time to get it, even though the prices for the home happen to be high. The interest rates are still reasonably low, but they're going to be raising them just as fast as they can do it. So with that in mind, I will say, when it's looking its scariest, when it looks like there's no hope whatsoever, that's when you go in. That's when you get in the market. And I wish you great success with all of your investments, and I thank you very much for watching.